Good morning, everyone. It's 11 a.m. on the East Coast, so it's 8 a.m. on the West. If you're Central Time, it's 10 a.m. So it's good morning for everyone in the United States of America. And listen, this is crazy, right? It's it's already here. Think about it for a second, okay? Think about it for a second. Today we're gonna go through and try to predict the U.S. Men's National Team World Cup roster because at this point this is the easiest moment to try to predict it. We know the injuries, we know the rosters that Pochettino's been calling up, and we're super close to the World Cup. The roster's out on Tuesday, right? We're going to do a live stream for that when the roster's out on Tuesday, but it's here. This is the big moment. Ever since they announced the World Cup, that was in 2018. I think that's when they announced that the United States was going to host. It was when we didn't qualify to the 2018 World Cup. So around 2018 was when they announced it. And ever since, this is what we've been waiting for. 8 years have gone by, right? 8 years have gone by, and we're finally here. Now, obviously, we had the 2022 World Cup in between, and that was fun. But at the same time, even when we were at the 2022 World Cup, we were thinking about this moment. Now, mind you, obviously, if you go back to 2021, we were all maybe a little bit delusional in terms of how good our team would have been. It's definitely a roster that's going to look worse than what we expected 5 years ago from right now. But if you want to be positive, optimistic about it, this is very likely going to be the most talented roster the United States has ever sent to a World Cup, the U.S. Men's National Team, the most talented one. And we're at home. Okay. So with that said, why don't we do this? Before we start predicting the roster, I want to put this news here on screen from Edgar because he did report this a few days ago. It was on May 16th. Edgar, which, by the way, if you don't know and you don't follow him on X, he has gotten a lot of things right. Okay, so before anyone shits on Edgar or does anything like that, he has gotten a lot of things right. So let's show some respect. And this is what he said. I'm hearing from a few people that Noahkai Banks, which, by the way, there's a Spanish flag there. Apparently, he's also eligible to play for Spain. This guy can play for Spain, Germany, United States, even though I don't think Spain's going to call him up at all. Neither will Germany right now, right? Let me see here. I'm hearing from a few people that Noahkai Banks might be in the World Cup roster for the United States. I'm not sure if it's true, but if it is, it's big. Also, apparently, someone from USSF has kept in contact with a few dual nationals abroad, Brian Oko being one of them. So that one doesn't matter, Brian Oko right now. That's a talented player for the future. It would be nice. But ultimately, the interesting thing here is that where there's smoke, there's fire. And if Edgar is hearing this, there is something to it. They're probably considering Noahkai Banks, and Noahkai Banks is very likely considering the United States. Now, mind you, him rejecting the March camp, to me, just makes it look like he doesn't want to play for the U.S., wants to play for Germany. But we'll see. We'll see. So I guess when we're doing this roster prediction, we have to take that report from Edgar into account, right? We have to do it as if Noahkai Banks is available. Now, I don't know if they're going to have Noahkai Banks here, but let's go through the United States roster, okay? Let's go back here. So we're at the goalkeeper section. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it. We're going to go player by player, okay? We're going to go player by player here in the goalkeeper section. And then we're going to go to the defenders, midfielders, and forwards to try to predict what Pochettino will do. At the end of this video, I will give you my roster, what I would do, which doesn't really matter because Pochettino can do whatever he wants, right? But listen, before we continue, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Monarch. We'll be back very soon. Don't go anywhere. And don't forget to drop a like in this video. While the ad is playing, drop a like. Go to the bathroom if you have to. Just listen to it. And when you're done with the bathroom, wash your hands. We'll be back very soon. Don't go anywhere. It's very easy to overspend during the summer. Traveling, outdoor activities, and much more. You know, just living life in general. However, you can and you will stay financially responsible. And that's why today we are partnering up with Monarch, the best budgeting app of 2025, according to the Wall Street Journal and myself. And with our promo code TMTV, you get 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the promo code TMTV. Now, Monarch, what is it? It's the personal financial app that tracks everything for you. Your accounts, savings, investments, spending, whatever you want. You literally link all your accounts within minutes. It's very simple. And then you see your money organized with clean visuals and smart categorization. You can also even collaborate in the app with your partner or a financial advisor at no extra cost. It's very easy to use, trust me. And I started using it to keep track of my cash flow and spending. And honestly, this has been saving me time and money. It kept everything organized. I'm not using spreadsheets anymore. And you know, time is money. So it's actually saving me money twice. So head to monarch.com and use the promo code TMTV to get 50% off your first year. That is 50% off at monarch.com with the promo code TMTV. Thank you very much, Monarch, for sponsoring the channel. Yeah, and Sugar3234 is saying his OnlyFans account. Yeah, Monarch can help you manage your money that you get from OnlyFans. If that's how you make your money, they can help you for sure. Also, try not to overspend. All right, so we're back. Hopefully by now you guys have dropped a like in this video. It's time to predict what Pochettino will do. So let's go through the goalkeepers. And everyone here in the chat, you guys make sure to help me out. Okay, make sure to help me out here with your opinion. I think under Pochettino, we can all say that Matt Freese is definitely a lock. So let's tick the Matt Freese box right there. We select Matt Freese. I would argue that even though he's been shaky and not a tremendous goalkeeper, but he has World Cup experience and Pochettino has called him up, gave him a shot last camp, I would say Matt Turner is also a lock. My question to you is, who is number 3? So Jonathan Klinsmann, unfortunately, he's injured. Zach Steffen, unfortunately, he's not good. Patrick Schulte, shaky, but he could be an option. Ethan Horvath. There's not much evidence of Pochettino calling up Ethan Horvath. Honestly, when I look at it, I think Chris Brady will be the third goalkeeper. I don't know if it matters too much. We can look at other options that they have here. Gabriel Sonina, Diego Cochin. Oh, Drake Callender. Forgot about that guy. Remember when everyone was hyping Drake Callender? Because he played with Messi. He was Messi's goalkeeper. And then everyone loved him. Now no one loves him anymore. No one talks about him. But if I were to predict, I would say Brady. And then we can, with Chris Brady, we have the 3 goalkeepers here. Matt Turner, Matt Freese, and Chris Brady. So let's just move on because goalkeepers is definitely not the most important part of this video. Goalkeepers is, but not the third goalkeeper, right? That one doesn't matter as much because he's not expected to play. Okay, now we have the defenders. Now, mind you, Transfermarkt does not have Arfsten as a defender. They have him as a midfielder or forward, which makes sense. He mainly plays as a winger. But for the United States, he's a left wing back, right? Arfsten is a lock, in my opinion. So when we get to that section, I'll select Arfsten. So if you don't see him now, that's the reason. Again, this is Pochettino's roster. And I have to remind you guys, Johnny Cardoso and Patrick Agyemang are out. Tim Weah, Tessman, Aronson, and Richards are dealing with minor injuries, but they should be fine for the World Cup at the time of this recording or at the time of this live stream. And Correa is saying, I saw Matt Freese last night live versus the Red Bulls, and I'm losing some confidence in him as a starter. Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the goal that Max Arfsten scored on Matt Freese. I thought he could have done better. There was a good finish by Arfsten, but I thought Matt Freese could have done better. I just think that we don't have any reliable goalkeeper right now. What we have to hope is that the one that Pochettino chooses catches fire during the World Cup. Because we have seen Matt Turner, Matt Freese in good form, and they've looked all right, right? They've done fine. When they're in very good form, their confidence is high. We just have to hope that that's the case, right, for the World Cup. And I guess time will tell in that sense. But let's go through the defenders, okay? Jedi Robinson, he's a lock. Chris Richards, he's a lock. Serginho Dest, he's a lock. Carter Vickers, he won't be there, and he's also injured. So Carter Vickers won't be there. Let's go through. Joe Scally, what do you guys think? Is Joe Scally going to the World Cup? We'll be back with Scally in a second. Trusty, I think Trusty will be there. So will Mark McKenzie. So right now we have three center backs that we selected, and 2 fullbacks. Let's keep going down. Christopher Lund, no. Miles Robinson, I wouldn't bring him. But he could be. Let's skip Miles for now, right? The same way we did to Joe Scally. Let's finalize the locks. Alex Freeman, lock to go for sure. Dejuan Jones, John Token, Walker Zimmerman, Shaquille Moore. You guys remember Shaquille Moore from 2022? Shaquille Moore, one of our worst players in the 2022 World Cup. George Campbell's been doing well in the championship for West Brom, but there's no evidence that he would make it. Tim Ream, at age 47, he'll be in the World Cup. Tim Ream is a lock, whether you like it or not. Peyton Miller, very talented player. I don't see Noahkai Banks here. Transfermarkt did not put Noahkai Banks here. So it becomes a little complicated to select him. But let's go back up, because I'll tell you one thing. Despite Edgar's report, I would bring Noahkai Banks if he wants to play for the US, but I don't think Noahkai Banks will be in the World Cup roster. Okay? I don't think he'll be in the World Cup roster, Noahkai Banks. And honestly, I would want him there mainly due to potential, but it's one of those calls that if he didn't make it, it's not the most controversial thing in the world. I mean, the guy hasn't played a single minute for Augsburg in the Bundesliga ever since the March camp that he rejected. He rejected, by the way. I don't think that he will be there. So when we finalize this section, we have Arob, Dest, and Freeman as fullbacks, and we also have Tim Weah is also an option for the fullback position. Arfston, he's going to be in the next section because Transfermarkt puts him as a midfielder or forward. Arfston is a lock. I think that I believe that Pochettino will bring Miles Robinson. I think he's going to bring Miles Robinson. I don't know about Joe Scally. We're going to have to come back to this section. I know a lot of you have said that Scally will make it. I am not sold on Scally making the roster. I would want to have Scally. He's been very reliable in the Bundesliga, and he can play on the left, on the right. I am not sure. Let's go to the next section where we have the midfielders and forwards. And then if anything, we can go back. Or I can just select Joe Scally for now. You have already... Oh, what? Transfermarkt needs to fix this, man. What do you mean? If I want to, they're not letting me select Scally because they're saying I've reached the limit for defenders. I can only bring 8 defenders. What if Pochettino wants to bring 15 defenders to the World Cup? What is wrong with this website? How can you cap the amount of defenders that I can bring to the World Cup? Anyhow, let's move forward to the next section and see what's happening here. Let's remove everyone. Oh, that's why. Sorry, Transfermarkt. It was the maximum. Sorry. I was criticizing them. The problem is I had already selected the forwards. It was my mistake. I'm sorry, Transfermarkt. I criticized you unfairly. All right, let's remove everyone and then get to the players that we believe will be in the World Cup roster. So I selected Joe Scally. I'm assuming Scally will go, even though I'm not sure on that. So let's go through all the locks. Now we're at the forwards and midfielder section. Let's go through every single lock, and then we'll go from there. So going through the locks, Christian Pulisic, lock. Malik Tillman, lock. Tyler Adams, lock. Pepe, lock. McKennie, lock. Balogun, lock. Johnny Cardoso, out. He's injured. Tim Weah, lock. Sargent, what the heck happened to this guy, man? How's he even doing for Toronto, Josh Sargent? Strange guy, but seems like a nice dude. Brendan Aronson, not a lock. Not a lock. You guys might be saying, Brendan's a lock. He's not a lock. Aronson probably will be there, but I cannot mark him right now as a lock. Right? So Musa, very likely not there. Haji Wright, lock. Tenor Tessman, lock. Patrick Agyemang is injured. Aiden Morris, is he a lock? What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think Aiden Morris is a lock? I think he'll be there, but is he a lock? No, I wouldn't say he's a lock yet. Let's keep going down. Hold on. Diego Luna. Is Luna a lock? That That's a tough one too. Um, I think with Pochettino, Diego Luna is a lock. I think he makes it, whether we agree with it or not. The big question is if he brings another RSL player called Xavier Gozo. That's the big question. Going on here, Gio Reyna, is he a lock? I know some people are going to say this is controversial, but I think Gio Reyna is a lock. I think he's a lock. Pochettino has brought him when he was playing less, and he played for Gladbach, did a bit better, scored a goal. I think in terms of playing, I don't know what's going to happen with Gio Reyna, but in terms of being a roster lock, I think he's a roster lock. Let's keep going down. Sebastian Berhalter, to me, he's a lock under Pochettino. Max Arfston, to me, he's a lock under Pochettino. Christian Roldan, to me, he's also a lock under Pochettino. And that kind of closes our roster. Won't you guys look at that? We filled up the entire roster. Brendan Aronson's out. Aiden Morris is out. Guys, who do I cut? Like, look at the players I selected. Do you guys think Diego Luna or Gio Reyna will come off for Aronson? Yeah, just let me know. Or is Joe Scally out and then Aiden Morris or Aronson are in? You guys think Luna will be out for Aronson? Why? No, listen, I see the chat saying cut Luna. This is not what we would do. I'm trying to predict Pochettino. Do you guys really think Pochettino will bring Aronson over Luna? There's no evidence of that. I think if we were to use the data that we have on Pochettino, we go back on defense, we cut Joe Scally. I think Pochettino won't bring Joe Scally. Then the big question is it Aronson or Aiden Morris? Right? Who goes? Aronson or Aiden Morris? So attacking midfielders, we have McKennie, Tillman, Pulisic plays there, Gio, Luna. So honestly, if we cut Scally, it's Aiden Morris. It's Aiden Morris. That leaves Brendan Aronson and Zendejas out. Zendejas has been quite good for Club America. The big question here, they're saying Aronson was chosen over Luna. Luna was recovering from injury. Luna last camp was recovering from injury. And that's one of the big reasons why Mauricio Pochettino left Diego Luna out of the roster. And if you look at last camp, Brendan Aronson did make the roster, but wasn't he the player that played the least amount of minutes? Like, he played 11 minutes versus Portugal. Guys, I think Aronson might not make it. Unless you think he's going to cut Diego Luna. I don't think Pochettino, I don't care. Look, it doesn't matter what I think or what you think. We are trying to predict what Pochettino would do. I think he's going to bring Luna over Aronson. And we don't have any roster spots left. Like, I can go back here. Let's go back. Goalkeepers, it doesn't matter. Defense, A-Rob, Richards, Dest. We're cutting any of those? No. Trusty and McKenzie, they're not getting cut. Alex Freeman, he's staying. Miles Robinson could get cut, but again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 center backs with Tim Ream. So maybe we don't have Miles because Alex Freeman can play center back. Maybe. And then if we cut Miles, we can add Brendan Aronson. That's an option. That's the only way I think Aronson makes the roster. I truly think that Pochettino is going to bring Diego Luna. So if we remove Miles Robinson, then we could add Zendejas or Brendan Aronson, even though very likely it would be Brendan Aronson because Zendejas hasn't been called in for some reason. I don't know. So, look, let's just go back here for a second because people are mentioning Jack McGlynn and this and that. Jack McGlynn's a good player, and I wouldn't mind if we brought Jack McGlynn. But who do we remove? He's gonna call in Sebastian Berhalter and Roldan. So, who do I remove for Jack McGlynn? I mean, we can build our own roster after, but in Pochettino's roster, there's no room for Jack McGlynn. And even when you talk about like Xavier Gozo from RSL, quite an interesting prospect, but there's no room for Gozo in this roster. I mean, there is room. You would have to remove probably Sebastian Berhalter or Rodon, or honestly, even Diego Luna if you want to bring Gozo. Even though Gozo probably would play more as a wingback for us, right? More of a wide player. Luna's better, a bit more central. So I think this is the roster, guys. Like, let's finish this. Let's look at this squad. Okay, so I think what you have on screen right now is Pochettino's roster that we're gonna see on Tuesday. Not mine, not yours. Pochettino's. Matt Turner, Chris Brady, and Matt Freese as the goalkeepers. On defense, let me zoom in so you guys can see it because some of you might have bad vision. Um, so that might help a little bit. And Rogelio's saying, y'all don't know. You're welcome to join the Discord server in the description. Yes, the Discord server is in the description of this video. Y'all can go check it out right now. The Discord is in the description of this video. So, defense, Anthony Robinson, Des, Mark McKenzie, Alex Freeman, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Tim Ream, and Max Arfston. He's listed on the midfielders and forwards, but Max Arfston for the U.S. would be on the defensive end. Midfielders and attackers, Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, McKennie, Weah, Tessman, Luna, Berhalter, Rodon, Tillman, Pepe, Balogun, Haji Wright, Morris, Gio Reyna. So, again, it looks like Brendan Aronson might not make it. Sorry, we just did it here. And this roster is worth 362 million euros. It looks like Aronson's out. And saying the ski, the amount of people that value Luna over Aronson is borderline criminal. Look, I prefer Aronson, and I don't think Luna can do in the Premier League what Aronson's doing. Not that Aronson's a standout in the Premier League, but he's been fine, right? He holds his own in the Premier League. But again, I'm just trying to be rational here, non-biased. I'm just going based on what we've seen with previous rosters, selections, minutes that Pochettino has given. And if we go basically off that, this is what the roster will look like. And we have here Dominican says saying, Aronson's going, you're going to be wrong, Tack, just like you thought Neymar wasn't going to be selected. I mean, I hope so. I was happy that Neymar was selected. I've talked about that. Look, I'm open to being wrong. I'm just using the data that we have on Pochettino. And this right there is the roster. Ghost Card saying, cut Miles Robinson, add BBL Shaquille Moore. No, Shaquille Moore has played way too many World Cups at this point in his career. Way too many. Matt Doyle said a real surprise in the roster. Real surprise. Okay, so let's talk about that. If we were to put a real surprise, there are two names that come to mind. Two names that come to mind, right? Xavier Gozo or Noahkai Banks. Because a big surprise has to be a player that hasn't been called in or we are not expecting to be there. So I would say Xavier Gozo or Noahkai Banks. Either one would be a big surprise. Now, the names that I listed are simply based on the roster Pochettino has been called up. Okay. So switching this up, I want to put on screen. I put this on X, and this is the roster that I would bring, in case you guys care. This is my U.S. men's national team roster on screen right now. Okay, let me just get a sip of water here. Okay, so they're saying there could be three: Mehmeti, Gozo, or Banks, maybe four of Zendeja. So Zendejas, I wouldn't consider him a surprise inclusion. He's been quite good for Club America. He has been called in by Pochettino. He has scored even for the United States. I wouldn't consider Zendejas a surprise inclusion. Now, Mehmeti from the New York Red Bulls, he would be a surprise inclusion. I would not be upset. That's a very talented prospect. Gozo, I would not be upset. That's another very talented prospect. Probably won't play in the World Cup, but very talented. And Banks also, I wouldn't be upset at all. So we'll see. But I'll put it this way: Man, I got called a casual. Look at this. Pablo Ramos called me a casual. Maybe I am a casual. Maybe I am a casual. We'll see. So N Correa is saying Sean Zawadski. Or oh, look, I'm not convinced that Sean Zawadski is even a real player. This guy gets called in and he's injured all the time. He gets called in and then he gets injured like 2 days before we play. Every single time. Probably calling me a casual is the most wild take I've seen in this chat. And I've seen some crazy ones. I've gotten called every single name in the book. Some of them that if I mention, I'll get canceled. But calling me a casual is probably the craziest one I've ever seen. Probably. Probably. Anyhow, my roster. Goalkeepers, I would bring Matt Freese, Chris Brady, and Matt Turner. Okay. I would bring that one right there. And then going down, fullbacks, I would bring Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, Alex Freeman, Joe Scally, and Tim Weah. So I have 5 fullbacks. Okay. Center backs, I would bring 5 of them. I would bring Chris Richards, Mark McKenzie, Trusty, Ream, and Banks. Of course, that depends on Banks accepting the call up. If Banks does not accept the call up, I would bring Mehmeti or Xavier Gozo, probably Xavier Gozo. Okay. Why? Probably won't play, but I would give a young prospect some experience. Okay. So I would go with Xavier Gozo or Mehmeti from the New York Red Bulls. Very talented central defensive midfielder, central midfielder. Central midfielders that play in the double pivot, I would bring Tyler Adams, Tanner Tessman, Aiden Morris. Malik Tillman, to me, would play as a central midfielder. He would be a backup. I wouldn't start Malik Tillman. We've seen him play as a central midfielder with Leverkusen. We've seen him play as a central midfielder with PSV. So I would put Tillman there. I think he can do a fine job. And then people are going to say this is controversial. They're going to say, Yunus Musa. Why would you bring Yunus Musa? Guys, in a World Cup game, I still trust Musa over Sebastian Berhalter, over Roldan. Honestly, even over maybe even over Aiden Morris. We've seen Musa in a World Cup, and he was quite good in 2022. He was one of our best players in that World Cup. Now, Musa is struggling to get minutes at Milan and Atalanta. He's not struggling to get minutes at the freaking Columbus Crew. No offense to the Columbus Crew. Okay, no offense to them. I'm just saying that's a worse team than Atalanta, for example. So, and Musa's a good group guy too, if you want to go that route, right? He's a good guy. So, I would bring Musa. I don't think he's progressed since 2022. But if we get the same version of 2022 or even that cycle, he was a good player. Many people forget that. I think he's made bad moves. He's gone to teams where his minutes have gone down. I think he's still more or less the same player. He hasn't developed, which is a problem, right? But at the same time, he's still a good player. Okay. With that said, I would bring him. Is he going to go? No, he's not going to go. But I would bring him. Attacking midfielders and wingers, I would bring Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna, Brendan Aronson, and Alejandro Zendejas. Up top, I would have Balogun, Pepe, and Haji Wright. So I think the only big thing I would change is if Noahkai Banks can't make it, I would just go with Xavier Gozo, or I would go with Mehmeti from the New York Red Bulls. I would go with one or another, right? And that's pretty much all, I think. And they're saying, would you keep Pochettino if he wants to stay after the World Cup? That's a good question. I think the answer to that on keeping Pochettino. Sorry, I removed myself for a second. The answer to that of keeping Pochettino, yes or no, after the World Cup, it depends on how he does on the World Cup. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he will be judged based on how he does in the World Cup, right? Because his work has been kind of inconsistent so far. It hasn't been great, let's be honest. But if he's doing all of this with the final goal of doing well in the World Cup and we do well in the World Cup, sure, give Pochettino another 4 years. I don't think he'll stay. I think he's going to go back to Europe. He's going to find a club. But again, that is what it is. And they're saying, did you see the tweet a few minutes ago about Pete, about Banks being in the squad? No. Before we end this stream, I can go to that tweet. Let me see what Pete said. He hasn't told me anything. Pete's hiding secrets from me. I'm very upset right now. He shouldn't be hiding any secrets from me. But let's see. They're saying USMNT players Tim Way and Mark McKenzie at a press conference in New York City with Mayor Mondami announcing $1,050 World Cup tickets. Oh, my goodness. Pochettino right now. Pochettino must be furious. Pochettino must be furious. I can't believe these guys are fighting for cheaper tickets. But let me just see. Okay. So Pete put a tweet of just a picture of Noahkai Banks with the U.S. men's national team badge behind it. So I don't know. I haven't talked to Pete. Maybe he has any information. I don't know anything about it. I cannot confirm that Noahkai Banks is there or not. I have absolutely no idea. It looks like Pete might have gotten some information. I'll ask him later. I don't know. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That's all for today. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. So Tuesday, right after the roster is out, there's going to be like a 1-hour presentation. The roster will be released. Once it's out, we're going to go live here to talk about the roster, do a full breakdown, and that's where the real World Cup coverage begins. So drop a like in the stream if you haven't already. Do it right now. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Hopefully I get this right. The prediction. Thank you very much, Monarch, for sponsoring this stream. Link in the description of this video. That's all, okay? See you guys on Tuesday. Oh, by the way, I'm going to the TST again. Tomorrow I'll be at the TST. We're going to go fight for $1 million. We had a great campaign last year. We had a beautiful campaign last year. It was incredible, actually. And then everyone wanted us back. So we're back in the TST. And this time we're going to go there to win it, the $1 million. Okay, the whole $1 million. And Julian Viva saying, if Luna goes to the World Cup, will he go to Europe? I don't know. If he will go to Europe or not. He's making a lot of money in MLS. I don't think the World Cup will have an impact on whether or not he goes to Europe. He could also not go to the World Cup and still make a move to Europe, right? So I don't think it'll have any impact. Okay. So we're back at the TST this year after our beautiful campaign last season. Very good campaign. And hopefully this year we win it. Okay. Thank you very much, Monarch. I'll see you guys on Tuesday for the World Cup roster stream. It's happening. World Cup roster stream next Tuesday, I think at 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's scheduled. Go right now to that stream and drop a like on it. Drop a like already. Put the notification bell on, everything. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Ciao.